Question 1. What are the specific responsibilities of the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland? A. Managing agricultural policies. B. Overseeing education reform. C. Facilitating peace and security efforts. D. Promoting tourism. Answer. C. Facilitating peace and security efforts. The Secretary of State for Northern Ireland is primarily responsible for facilitating peace and security efforts in the region. Question 2. What powers does the Scottish Parliament have over immigration? A. Full control over immigration policies. B. No control over immigration. C. Limited to advising on UK-wide policies. D. Shared powers with the UK government. Answer. B. No control over immigration. Immigration is a matter reserved to the UK government. The Scottish Parliament does not have direct control over immigration policies. Question 3. How is the Prime Minister formally appointed? A. By a public election. B. By the monarch on the recommendation of the Parliament. C. By the majority vote in the House of Commons. D. By the ruling political party. Answer. B. By the monarch on the recommendation of the Parliament. The Prime Minister is formally appointed by the monarch following a recommendation based on the ability to command a majority in the House of Commons. Question 4. Name 3 significant reforms introduced during the reign of King Charles III. A. Environmental protection, education reform, healthcare expansion. B. Constitutional changes, military enhancements, tax reforms. C. Judicial restructuring, police reforms, trade adjustments. D. None. The monarch has no legislative power. Answer. D. None. The monarch has no legislative power. King Charles III, like other British monarchs, does not have legislative power to introduce reforms. Question 5. What is the historical significance of the Glorious Revolution of 1688 in shaping the British constitutional monarchy? A. It ended the absolute monarchy. B. It established the principle of parliamentary sovereignty. C. It separated church and state powers. D. It introduced the concept of judicial independence. Answer. B. It established the principle of parliamentary sovereignty. The Glorious Revolution is significant for establishing the supremacy of Parliament over the monarchy, a fundamental principle of the British constitutional monarchy. Question 6. Describe the roles and powers of the police and crime commissioners in England and Wales. A. They manage the police budget and set policing priorities. B. They control the judiciary. C. They oversee education in their regions. D. They regulate local businesses. Answer. A. They manage the police budget and set policing priorities. Police and crime commissioners are responsible for managing the police budget and setting priorities for policing in their regions. Question 7. How does the UK's Bill of Rights of 1689 still impact modern British law? A. It is purely historical, with no modern relevance. B. It underpins the rights to a fair trial and prohibits cruel punishment. C. It dictates the economic policies of the UK. D. It regulates international trade agreements. Answer. B. It underpins the rights to a fair trial and prohibits cruel punishment. The Bill of Rights of 1689 established lasting principles, such as the right to a fair trial and prohibitions against cruel and unusual punishment. Question 8. What are the eligibility criteria for a peerage nomination in the modern House of Lords? A. Nomination by the Prime Minister or non-political selection bodies. B. Winning a local election. C. Inheritance of a title. D. Appointment by the House of Commons. Answer A. Nomination by the Prime Minister or non-political selection bodies. Modern peerages can be granted on the nomination of the Prime Minister or by non-political selection bodies for life peerages. Question 9. What specific rights are protected under the Human Rights Act 1998? A. Right to life, freedom from torture, right to a fair trial. B. Right to vote, right to governmental office, right to public health care. C. Economic rights such as employment and housing. D. Rights to private and family life only. Answer A. Right to life, freedom from torture, right to a fair trial. The Human Rights Act 1998 protects several fundamental rights, including the right to life, freedom from torture, and the right to a fair trial. Question 10. What legal and societal implications did the Marriage, Same-Sex Couples, Act 2013 have in England and Wales? A. It legalised same-sex marriage, providing equal marriage rights. B. It banned same-sex marriage. C. It only allowed civil partnerships. D. It restricted the rights of same-sex couples. Answer A. It legalized same-sex marriage, providing equal marriage rights. The Marriage, Same-Sex Couples, Act 2013 was significant for legalizing same-sex marriage in England and Wales, thus providing equal marriage rights to all citizens. Question 11. What landmark case established the principle of judicial review in the UK? A. Marbury v. Madison. B. Entekthus, Carrington. C. Hashby v. White. D. The Proclamation Case of 1610. Answer D. The Proclamation Case of 1610. This case is noted for establishing the principle that the King could not create new laws without the consent of Parliament, laying the groundwork for judicial review. Question 12. How has the role of the British monarchy changed since the Victorian era? A. It has become more politically powerful. B. It has transitioned to a purely ceremonial role. C. It has gained more legislative authority. D. It has remained unchanged. Answer B. It has transitioned to a purely ceremonial role. Since the Victorian era, the role of the British monarchy has largely transitioned from one of significant political power to a primarily ceremonial role. Question 13. What are the differences between reserved and devolved powers in the UK? A. Reserved powers are held by the UK Parliament. Devolved powers are granted to regional assemblies. B. Devolved powers are held by the UK Parliament. Reserved powers are granted to local councils. C. There is no difference. Both terms mean the same. D. Reserved powers relate to defence only, devolved powers to taxation. Answer A. Reserved powers are held by the UK Parliament. Devolved powers are granted to regional assemblies. This distinction is key in understanding the division of powers within the UK's political system. Question 14. Detail the process and criteria for the UK granting asylum. A. Asylum is granted automatically to all applicants. B. Applicants must prove they face persecution based on race, religion, nationality, social group, or political opinion. C. Asylum is only granted to those with sufficient financial resources. D. All asylum seekers must pass a rigorous health screening. Answer B. Applicants must prove they face persecution based on race, religion, nationality, social group, or political opinion. This criterion is essential for granting asylum in the UK. Question 15. What are the historical origins of the Commonwealth and its impact on post-colonial UK relations? A. It originated from the American Revolution. B. It was formed after World War II. C. It evolved from the British Empire to foster economic and cultural cooperation. D. It was created during the English Civil War. Answer: C. It evolved from the British Empire to foster economic and cultural cooperation. The Commonwealth plays a significant role in maintaining a network of cooperation among former British colonies. Question 16. How do the functions of the Welsh Senedd differ from those of the Scottish Parliament? A. The Senedd has greater legislative powers than the Scottish Parliament. B. The Senedd and Scottish Parliament have identical powers. C. The Senedd has more limited legislative powers compared to the Scottish Parliament. D. The Senedd controls foreign policy, unlike the Scottish Parliament. Answer: C. The Senedd has more limited legislative powers compared to the Scottish Parliament. The Welsh Senedd does not have as broad a scope of legislative authority as the Scottish Parliament. Question 17. What is the constitutional role of the Privy Council in the UK government? A. It acts as the Supreme Court of the UK. B. It advises the monarch and serves as a court of final appeal for some cases. C. It legislates new laws for the entire UK. D. It elects the Prime Minister. Answer: B. It advises the monarch and serves as a court of final appeal for some cases. The Privy Council has a largely ceremonial role in advising the monarch, with judicial functions in certain legal cases. Question 18. Describe the UK's involvement in the formation of the United Nations. A. The UK was opposed to the formation of the United Nations. B. The UK was a founding member and key architect of the United Nations. C. The UK joined only after the United Nations was established. D. The UK has no involvement with the United Nations. Answer: B. The UK was a founding member and key architect of the United Nations. The UK played a significant role in the establishment and shaping of the UN's structure and charter. Question 19. What was the impact of the Beveridge Report on the UK welfare state? A. It led to the reduction of welfare benefits. B. It had no impact on welfare. C. It laid the foundations for the modern welfare state, including the creation of the NHS. D. It privatized most welfare services. Answer: C. It laid the foundations for the modern welfare state, including the creation of the NHS. The Beveridge Report was instrumental in establishing the welfare state in the UK, including the creation of the National Health Service. Question 20. What are the requirements and process for the UK's judicial appointments? A. Appointments are made based on seniority only. B. Judges are elected by the public. C. Candidates must pass an exam, and appointments are made based on merit. D. Appointments are made by the monarch alone. Answer: C. Candidates must pass an exam, and appointments are made based on merit. The UK's judicial appointments are merit-based, involving a rigorous selection process to ensure the judiciary is competent and fair. Question 21. Explain the significance of the Fixed-Term Parliaments Act 2011. A. It removed the monarch's power to call elections. B. It established set dates for general elections every 5 years. C. It allowed for more frequent elections. D. It extended terms to 7 years. Answer: B. It established set dates for general elections every 5 years. The Fixed-Term Parliaments Act 2011 was significant as it set the general elections to occur on a fixed schedule, rather than being called at the discretion of the Prime Minister. Question 22. What is the Salisbury Convention, and how does it affect the legislative process? A. It requires all laws to receive royal assent. B. It states that the House of Lords should not block legislation proposed in the government's election manifesto. C. It mandates a public referendum for any constitutional amendment. D. It allows the House of Commons to override the House of Lords. Answer. B. It states that the House of Lords should not block legislation proposed in the government's election manifesto. The Salisbury Convention affects the legislative process by limiting the House of Lords' ability to oppose legislation that is based on commitments made in the government's election manifesto. Question 23. How has British immigration policy evolved since 1945? A. It has become progressively stricter. B. It has remained unchanged. C. It has completely opened borders. D. It has alternated between restriction and liberalization based on economic needs. Answer. D. It has alternated between restriction and liberalization based on economic needs. British immigration policy has evolved significantly since 1945, often reflecting the country's economic conditions and political climate. Question 24. Describe the controversies and reforms associated with the House of Lords in the 21st century. A. Introduction of hereditary peer elections. B. Attempts to make it a fully elected body. C. Reduction in legislative powers. D. All of the above. Answer. D. All of the above. The House of Lords has faced various controversies and reforms in the 21st century, including debates over the election of hereditary peers, attempts to transform it into a fully elected chamber, and discussions on reducing its legislative powers. Question 25. What are the principles guiding the use of prerogative powers by the UK government? A. The government can exercise power without parliamentary approval in all matters. B. Prerogative powers are reserved exclusively for the monarch. C. They are used sparingly and primarily relate to foreign affairs and national defence. D. They allow the government to overrule judicial decisions. Answer. C. They are used sparingly and primarily relate to foreign affairs and national defence. Prerogative powers are executive powers that allow the government to act without the immediate need for parliamentary consent, typically used in areas like foreign affairs and defence. Question 26. What legal protections are provided by the UK against discrimination based on age? A. The Age Discrimination Act 1967. B. The Equality Act 2010. C. The Human Rights Act 1998. D. The Senior Citizens Act 1975. Answer. B. The Equality Act 2010. This act provides comprehensive protections against discrimination based on age, as well as other factors like race, religion, and gender within the workplace and wider society. Question 27. How do electoral boundaries in the UK get determined, and who oversees this process? A. By the Prime Minister's office. B. By an independent boundary commission. C. By the House of Commons. D. Through public referenda. Answer. B. By an independent boundary commission. The boundary commissions for England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland are responsible for reviewing and adjusting the boundaries of parliamentary constituencies. Question 28. Describe the role of the Speaker in the context of constitutional crisis. A. To vote on legislation. B. To maintain order and neutrality in the House of Commons. C. To propose new laws. D. To represent the UK in international negotiations. Answer. B. To maintain order and neutrality in the House of Commons. During constitutional crisis, the Speaker plays a crucial role in maintaining order and ensuring that parliamentary procedures are followed impartially. Question 29. What were the major constitutional changes introduced by the Scotland Act 1998? A. Establishment of the Scottish Parliament with powers to legislate on devolved matters. B. Abolishment of the Scottish Parliament. C. Scotland was granted independence. D. Scotland's legal system was merged with England's. Answer A. Establishment of the Scottish Parliament with powers to legislate on devolved matters. The Scotland Act 1998 was significant for establishing the Scottish Parliament, granting it powers to legislate on a range of devolved issues. Question 30. How did the UK's role in the European Union change prior to Brexit? A. The UK gained more influence and veto powers. B. The UK opted out of several key EU policies, including the Euro and Schengen area. C. The UK led the expansion of the EU. D. There was no change in the UK's role. Answer B. The UK opted out of several key EU policies, including the Euro and Schengen area. Before Brexit, the UK had a unique position in the EU, characterised by opt-outs from some central EU policies. Question 31. What is the Crown Estate and what role does it play in the UK economy? A. It is the private property of the monarch. B. A collection of lands and holdings in the UK belonging to the British monarch in trust. C. A governmental department that regulates taxation. D. A private investment fund for the royal family. Answer B. A collection of lands and holdings in the UK belonging to the British monarch in trust. The Crown Estate is an independently managed portfolio of lands and properties, the revenue of which benefits the Treasury. Question 32. Describe the function and significance of the Barnett formula. A. It is a mechanism for adjusting tax rates across the UK. B. It determines the distribution of public expenditure across the different nations of the UK. C. It calculates the salaries of public officials. D. It is used to determine electoral boundaries. Answer B. It determines the distribution of public expenditure across the different nations of the UK. The Barnett formula is used to adjust the amounts of public spending allocated to Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Question 33. What were the implications of the UK's Human Rights Act 1998 on legislative processes? A. It restricted the creation of new laws. B. It requires that all new laws be compatible with the rights set out in the European Convention on Human Rights. C. It eliminated the need for judicial review. D. It centralized legislative powers. Answer B. It requires that all new laws be compatible with the rights set out in the European Convention on Human Rights. The Human Rights Act 1998 has had a profound impact on how legislation is drafted and reviewed in the UK to ensure compatibility with human rights standards. Question 34. Detail the process of devolution in Northern Ireland and its impact on local governance. A. Devolution granted Northern Ireland complete independence. B. It established the Northern Ireland Assembly with powers to legislate on devolved matters. C. It led to the direct rule of Northern Ireland by the UK government. D. It dissolved all forms of local governance. Answer B. It established the Northern Ireland Assembly with powers to legislate on devolved matters. Devolution in Northern Ireland led to the creation of the Northern Ireland Assembly, significantly impacting local governance by granting it legislative powers over devolved issues. Question 35. What is the legal significance of the Magna Carta in contemporary UK law? A. It forms the basis of the entire UK legal system. B. It is considered outdated with no current relevance. C. It introduced the concept that everyone, including the king, is subject to the law. D. It dictates international law. Answer: C. It introduced the concept that everyone, including the king, is subject to the law. The Magna Carta is historically significant for establishing the principle that nobody is above the law, a foundation for modern legal systems. Question 36. How has the concept of Britishness evolved in civic and national discussions? A. It has remained static and unchanged. B. It has become less inclusive. C. It has broadened to be more inclusive of diverse cultures and identities. D. It is now solely based on legal citizenship. Answer: C. It has broadened to be more inclusive of diverse cultures and identities. The concept of Britishness has evolved to embrace a wider range of cultural identities and is a subject of ongoing civic discussion. Question 37. What is the role of non-governmental organisations, NGOs, in the UK legislative process? A. They have no role and are not allowed to participate. B. They can propose and enact legislation. C. They provide expertise and advocacy on policy issues. D. They fund political campaigns. Answer: C. They provide expertise and advocacy on policy issues. NGOs play a significant role in the UK legislative process through advocacy, expert testimony, and influencing public and political opinion on various issues. Question 38. Describe the impact of the Windrush generation on British immigration law and policy. A. It led to stricter immigration controls. B. It highlighted issues of racial discrimination and led to changes in immigration laws. C. It had no impact on immigration laws. D. It decreased diversity in the UK. Answer: B. It highlighted issues of racial discrimination and led to changes in immigration laws. The Windrush scandal exposed serious flaws in British immigration policies, particularly affecting people legally entitled to live in the UK, and prompted reforms and widespread discussion about immigration and rights. Question 39. How does the UK Parliament scrutinise the actions of the government? A. Through the Official Secrets Act. B. By granting absolute power to the Prime Minister. C. Through debates, questions and select committees. D. Parliament has no role in scrutinising the government. Answer: C. Through debates, questions and select committees. The UK Parliament scrutinises government actions through a variety of mechanisms, including debates, ministerial questions, and the work of select committees. Question 40. What role does the monarch play during a general election? A. The monarch has the right to vote. B. The monarch decides the outcome of the election. C. The monarch dissolves Parliament on the advice of the Prime Minister. D. The monarch campaigns for candidates. Answer: C. The monarch dissolves Parliament on the advice of the Prime Minister. Although largely ceremonial, one of the monarch's roles during a general election is to dissolve Parliament upon the advice of the Prime Minister, leading to the election period. Question 41. Explain the significance and outcomes of the Treaty of Union 1707. A. It established the United Kingdom of Great Britain. B. It separated Scotland from England. C. It formed the European Union. D. It dissolved the English Parliament. Answer: A. It established the United Kingdom of Great Britain. The Treaty of Union 1707 was significant for uniting the parliaments of Scotland and England, creating the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Question 42. What are the criteria for electoral eligibility in the UK? A. Only property owners can vote. B. Citizens must be over the age of 25. C. Citizens of the UK, Commonwealth and Ireland over 18 who are resident in the UK. D. All residents over the age of 16. Answer. C. Citizens of the UK, Commonwealth and Ireland over 18 who are resident in the UK. This criterion sets the basic eligibility for voting in general elections and referendums. Question 43. Detail the implications of the no confidence vote in the British parliamentary system. A. It increases the power of the monarch. B. It can force the government to resign if it loses the vote. C. It leads to automatic dissolution of Parliament. D. It has no real impact. Answer. B. It can force the government to resign if it loses the vote. A no-confidence vote is significant as it tests the government's ability to command the confidence of the House of Commons. Losing the vote can lead to the resignation of the government or a general election. Question 44. What historic events led to the formation of the United Kingdom? A. The signing of the Magna Carta. B. The Norman Conquest. C. The Acts of Union in 1707 and 1801. D. The English Civil War. Answer. C. The Acts of Union in 1707 and 1801. These acts were pivotal in forming the United Kingdom, uniting England and Scotland first, and then Ireland with Great Britain. Question 45. How does the UK manage its international aid and development policy? A. Through the Department for International Development. B. Via private charities only. C. Through the Ministry of Defence. D. It has no international aid programme. Answer. A. Through the Department for International Development. The UK manages its international aid through this department, focusing on global poverty reduction and development assistance. Question 46. Explain the role of select committees in the UK Parliament. A. They draft legislation. B. They enforce laws. C. They scrutinise government work and expenditure. D. They elect the Prime Minister. Answer. C. They scrutinise government work and expenditure. Select committees are crucial in the UK Parliament for examining various aspects of governmental operations and effectiveness. Question 47. What are the legal implications of the UK's separation of powers doctrine? A. It consolidates power within the judiciary. B. It divides power among the executive, legislature, and judiciary. C. It eliminates the role of the judiciary. D. It gives all powers to the monarch. Answer. B. It divides power among the executive, legislature, and judiciary. The separation of powers is a doctrine intended to prevent the concentration of power by distributing it among different branches of government. Question 48. Describe the evolution of the UK's public health policy since the establishment of the NHS. A. The NHS has been privatised. B. It has remained unchanged since its inception. C. Expansion of services and reforms to meet changing health needs. D. The NHS only covers emergency services now. Answer. C. Expansion of services and reforms to meet changing health needs. Since its establishment in 1948, the NHS has undergone various expansions and reforms to adapt to the evolving health needs of the public. Question 49. How do UK courts interpret statutory legislation? A. Based on the literal rule only. B. Through judicial precedents only. C. Using rules of statutory interpretation, including the literal golden and mischief rules. D. Judges can modify laws as they see fit. Answer: C. Using rules of statutory interpretation, including the literal golden and mischief rules. UK courts utilise these established rules to interpret the meaning of statutes based on parliamentary intent and practical application. Question 50. What is the significance of the Constitutional Reform Act 2005? A. It abolished the role of the Lord Chancellor. B. It established the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom. C. It removed all traditional powers from the monarchy. D. It created a written constitution for the UK. Answer: B. It established the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom. The Constitutional Reform Act 2005 was significant for establishing the UK's Supreme Court, separating the upper judiciary from the House of Lords. Question 51. Describe the process of amending a constitutional law in the UK. A. A simple majority in a local council is needed. B. A national referendum must be held. C. Through an Act of Parliament following debate and approval by both houses. D. The monarch has the sole authority to amend the Constitution. Answer: C. Through an Act of Parliament following debate and approval by both houses. Constitutional laws in the UK can be amended through the legislative process involving both the House of Commons and the House of Lords. Question 52. How has the UK's foreign policy shifted in response to global terrorism? A. It has become more isolationist. B. Increased focus on domestic security and international intelligence cooperation. C. The UK has withdrawn from all foreign alliances. D. There is no change in foreign policy. Answer: B. Increased focus on domestic security and international intelligence cooperation. In response to global terrorism, the UK has heightened its domestic security measures and bolstered international intelligence sharing and cooperation. Question 53. What are the implications of the UK's nuclear deterrent policy? A. It has led to economic sanctions against the UK. B. It ensures the UK's participation in global disarmament talks. C. It aims to deter nuclear attacks by maintaining weapons of mass destruction. D. It promotes the use of nuclear energy for civilian purposes only. Answer: C. It aims to deter nuclear attacks by maintaining weapons of mass destruction. The UK maintains its nuclear arsenal as a deterrent against potential nuclear threats, a key aspect of its defence strategy. Question 54. How do the concepts of sovereignty and parliamentarism interact in the UK political system? A. Parliamentarism overrides sovereignty. B. Sovereignty is solely held by the monarch. C. Parliament is the supreme legal authority embodying sovereignty. D. The judiciary holds sovereignty. Answer: C. Parliament is the supreme legal authority embodying sovereignty. In the UK, the doctrine of parliamentary sovereignty means that Parliament has the ultimate authority over all other political bodies within the state. Question 55. Describe the UK's legislative response to climate change. A. The UK has no specific laws on climate change. B. Establishment of legally binding carbon budgets and goals for renewable energy use. C. Climate change is addressed by local governments only. D. The focus is only on promoting nuclear energy. Answer: B. Establishment of legally binding carbon budgets and goals for renewable energy use. The UK has implemented several legislative measures, including setting carbon budgets, to mitigate the impact of climate change. Question 56. What are the enforcement mechanisms for the UK's data protection laws? A. There are no enforcement mechanisms. B. Enforcement by the European Court of Justice. C. Managed by individual businesses without oversight. D. Enforcement by the Information Commissioner's Office, ICO. Answer: D. Enforcement by the Information Commissioner's Office, ICO. The ICO plays a crucial role in enforcing data protection laws in the UK, ensuring compliance and protecting individuals' data rights. Question 57. How does the UK's legal system address the concept of hate speech? A. There are no laws against hate speech. B. Hate speech is protected under freedom of speech. C. Through specific laws that criminalize expressions of hate against protected characteristics. D. Hate speech is only regulated in the media. Answer: C. Through specific laws that criminalize expressions of hate against protected characteristics. The UK has robust laws that specifically address and penalize hate speech to protect individuals from discrimination and harassment. Question 58. What are the significant impacts of the UK's Anti-Terrorism, Crime and Security Act 2001? A. It limited judicial oversight over terrorism cases. B. It focused on environmental crimes. C. Enhanced powers for law enforcement to deal with terrorism. D. It decreased police powers. Answer: C. Enhanced powers for law enforcement to deal with terrorism. The Act was introduced in response to the 9/11 attacks and provided UK law enforcement with greater powers to prevent and respond to terrorism. Question 59. Describe the judicial hierarchy in the UK and the role of each level of court. A. Only the Supreme Court has judicial powers. B. Magistrates' courts, Crown Courts, High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court, each with increasing levels of authority. C. All courts have equal authority. D. The monarch is the highest court. Answer: B. Magistrates' courts, Crown Courts, High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court, each with increasing levels of authority. This hierarchy allows for an organized system of appeal and review, ensuring justice is administered effectively. Question 60. What were the political and economic implications of the UK hosting the Olympic Games in 2012? A. It led to a permanent state of emergency. B. It had no impact on the UK. C. It boosted the economy and improved infrastructure. D. It isolated the UK from international sports. Answer: C. It boosted the economy and improved infrastructure. Hosting the 2012 Olympic Games in London had significant positive impacts on the UK's economy and led to long-term improvements in infrastructure and public services. Question 61. How is the Chancellor of the Exchequer selected, and what are their main responsibilities? A. Selected by public vote, responsible for national defence. B. Appointed by the monarch, manages the royal finances. C. Appointed by the Prime Minister, responsible for economic and fiscal policy. D. Elected by the House of Lords, oversees educational reform. Answer: C. Appointed by the Prime Minister, responsible for economic and fiscal policy. The Chancellor of the Exchequer is a key government position appointed by the Prime Minister, primarily tasked with managing the economic and fiscal matters of the government. Question 62. Describe the role and powers of the UK's Information Commissioner's Office. A. Regulates nuclear safety standards. B. Oversees the enforcement of data protection laws and freedom of information. C. Manages immigration policies. D. Coordinates transportation across the UK. Answer: B. oversees the enforcement of data protection laws and freedom of information. The Information Commissioner's Office, ICO, plays a critical role in ensuring that information rights are respected, focusing on data protection and freedom of information. Question 63. What are the historical and contemporary roles of the Church of England in UK society? A. Solely historical with no modern influence. B. It has a ceremonial role with no legal powers. C. Influences both societal norms and legislation. D. Acts as the judicial branch of the government. Answer: C. Influences both societal norms and legislation. The Church of England not only plays a significant ceremonial role in society, but also has a legal and moral influence, including the right to have bishops sit in the House of Lords. Question 64. Detail the UK government's strategy on cybersecurity. A. Focus on reducing digital access nationwide to prevent cyber attacks. B. Implementing robust cybersecurity measures to protect national infrastructure and combat cybercrime. C. No specific strategy, relies on individual organizations. D. Outsourcing cybersecurity to foreign companies. Answer: B. Implementing robust cybersecurity measures to protect national infrastructure and combat cybercrime. The UK government has a comprehensive strategy that includes enhancing the security of digital networks, critical national infrastructure, and private data. Question 65. What are the provisions and implications of the Freedom of Information Act 2000 in the UK? A. Allows public access to all governmental records without exceptions. B. Provides public access to information held by public authorities with some exceptions. C. Restricts public access to governmental information. D. Only applies to private corporations. Answer: B. Provides public access to information held by public authorities with some exceptions. This Act is a pivotal piece of legislation that allows public insight into the workings of public authorities, promoting transparency with certain justified exceptions to protect sensitive information. Question 66. How does the UK Parliament enforce its privileges? A. Through the military. B. By direct intervention from the Queen. C. Using statutory powers to ensure freedom of speech within Parliament and protection of its members. D. There are no specific enforcement mechanisms. Answer: C. Using statutory powers to ensure freedom of speech within Parliament and protection of its members. Parliamentary privileges are enforced through laws that ensure members can perform their duties without outside interference. Question 67. Describe the impact of digital technologies on UK political campaigns. A. Digital technologies are banned in political campaigns. B. They have transformed how campaigns are run through social media and online advertising. C. They have reduced the reach of political campaigns. D. No impact has been noted. Answer: B. They have transformed how campaigns are run through social media and online advertising. Digital technologies have significantly changed political campaigning, allowing for targeted advertising and direct voter engagement on a large scale. Question 68. What mechanisms exist for public participation in the UK legislative process? A. Public votes on all laws. B. Participation is restricted to members of Parliament only. C. Through consultations, public inquiries and petitions. D. The public can propose legislation directly to the Queen. Answer: C. Through consultations, public inquiries and petitions. These mechanisms allow the public to engage with and influence the legislative process, providing a platform for input on various issues. Question 69. How does the UK's contempt of Parliament law work? A. It allows the public to sue Parliament. B. It is applied to protect the authority of Parliament against acts that obstruct its functions. C. It criminalises public criticism of Parliament. D. There is no such law. Answer B. It is applied to protect the authority of Parliament against acts that obstruct its functions. Contempt of Parliament is a mechanism to uphold the dignity and authority of Parliament, ensuring its ability to operate without undue interference. Question 70. What role does the UK play in NATO? A. The UK is not a member of NATO. B. A leading role, being one of NATO's principal founding members. C. A minor role, providing limited support. D. Solely provides funding without active participation. Answer B. A leading role, being one of NATO's principal founding members. The UK plays a significant and active role in NATO, contributing to its strategic decisions and military capabilities. Question 71. How are trade policies formulated in the UK post-Brexit? A. The EU continues to dictate the UK's trade policies. B. Through unilateral decisions without international consultation. C. Through negotiations and agreements with individual countries and trade blocs. D. Trade policies are now managed by the United States. Answer C. Through negotiations and agreements with individual countries and trade blocs. Post-Brexit, the UK formulates its trade policies based on bilateral and multilateral negotiations, seeking to establish new trade agreements independently. Question 72. Describe the legal framework governing immigration detention in the UK. A. There are no laws governing immigration detention. B. Detention without trial for indefinite periods. C. Governed by laws that specify conditions and time limits for detention. D. Managed by international bodies, not the UK government. Answer C. Governed by laws that specify conditions and time limits for detention. The UK has specific laws that govern how and when individuals can be detained for immigration purposes, including conditions of detention and limits on the duration of detention. Question 73. What were the key issues and outcomes of the UK's Devolution inquiry? A. Focused on transportation safety and had no significant outcomes. B. Investigated the culture, practices, and ethics of the media, leading to proposed media reforms. C. It dealt with parliamentary expenses and led to several resignations. D. Explored financial mismanagement in banks with no real consequences. Answer B. Investigated the culture, practices, and ethics of the media, leading to proposed media reforms. The Devolution inquiry was a significant investigation into the UK media following the phone hacking scandal, recommending greater media regulation and accountability. Question 74. How does the UK's constitutional monarchy influence its foreign policy? A. The monarch personally directs all diplomatic missions. B. It has no influence on foreign policy. C. The monarch provides ceremonial support for diplomatic efforts. D. The Constitution mandates that the monarch must approve all foreign policies. Answer C. The monarch provides ceremonial support for diplomatic efforts, while the UK's foreign policy is directed by the government. The monarchy supports diplomatic efforts through state visits and ceremonial interactions with foreign dignitaries. Question 75. Detail the rights and responsibilities of citizenship as outlined in the UK's Life in the UK test. A. Rights to employment and education. Responsibilities include obeying the law and paying taxes. B. Rights to vote in any country. No responsibilities. C. Only rights are outlined, with no responsibilities. D. Responsibilities include military service. No rights are specified. Answer: A. Rights to employment and education. Responsibilities include obeying the law and paying taxes. The Life in the UK test outlines various rights and responsibilities of citizens, emphasizing legal compliance and participation in civic life. Question 76. What is the role of the UK's Supreme Court in maintaining constitutional balance? A. To rewrite laws as needed. B. To adjudicate in disputes that challenge the constitutionality of laws. C. To advise the Parliament on drafting laws. D. No specific role. It only handles criminal cases. Answer: B. To adjudicate in disputes that challenge the constitutionality of laws. The UK Supreme Court plays a critical role in maintaining constitutional balance by ensuring that laws adhere to constitutional principles. Question 77. Describe the significance of the Suez Crisis to UK foreign policy. A. It confirmed the UK's dominance as a colonial power. B. It marked a retreat from empire and influenced the UK's approach to international relations. C. It had no impact on foreign policy. D. It led to the UK gaining additional territories. Answer: B. It marked a retreat from empire and influenced the UK's approach to international relations. The Suez Crisis was pivotal in signalling the end of Britain's role as a leading global imperial power, significantly affecting its foreign policy and international standing. Question 78. What are the legal and ethical issues surrounding the use of surveillance by UK authorities? A. Surveillance is unregulated and widely accepted. B. It raises issues related to privacy, civil liberties, and the need for oversight. C. Only ethical issues are considered, with no legal constraints. D. There are no issues. All forms of surveillance are banned. Answer: B. It raises issues related to privacy, civil liberties, and the need for oversight. The use of surveillance by UK authorities involves complex legal and ethical considerations, particularly concerning the balance between national security and individual privacy rights. Question 79. How does the UK government promote civil liberties while ensuring national security? A. By imposing strict controls on civil liberties. B. Through legislation that balances security needs with the protection of civil liberties. C. Civil liberties are always prioritized over national security. D. National security is not a concern for the UK. Answer: B. Through legislation that balances security needs with the protection of civil liberties. The UK government strives to maintain a balance between upholding civil liberties and ensuring national security, often through laws that provide checks and balances on security measures. Question 80. What is the role of the royal prerogative in modern UK governance? A. It gives the monarch absolute power. B. Used sparingly, it allows the government to perform certain functions without the need for parliamentary consent. C. It is a formality with no real power. D. It allows the judiciary to override parliamentary decisions. Answer: B. Used sparingly, it allows the government to perform certain functions without the need for parliamentary consent. The royal prerogative is a set of historic powers officially held by the monarch that are used on the advice of ministers, typically in foreign affairs, or to dissolve Parliament before an election. Question 81. How do UK laws address the issue of discrimination in employment and housing? A. There are no specific laws addressing discrimination. B. By allowing discrimination based on employment status. C. Through the Equality Act 2010, which prohibits discrimination on various grounds. D. Discrimination is encouraged to promote diversity. Answer: C. Through the Equality Act 2010, which prohibits discrimination on various grounds. This act is a cornerstone in UK legislation that provides comprehensive protection against discrimination in employment, housing, and other areas of public life. Question 82. Describe the historical development of the UK's relationship with the Commonwealth. A. The UK has always been a member of the Commonwealth. B. The Commonwealth was formed as part of the UK's decolonisation process. C. The Commonwealth is a recent political alliance formed in the 21st century. D. The UK is not a member of the Commonwealth. Answer: B. The Commonwealth was formed as part of the UK's decolonisation process. It represents a political association of mostly former territories of the British Empire, fostering cooperation and mutual support. Question 83. What are the constitutional implications of the UK's devolution settlements on national unity? A. Devolution has weakened national unity. B. Devolution has no impact on national unity. C. Devolution has strengthened national unity by allowing nations to manage their own affairs. D. The UK is less recognised internationally as a result. Answer: C. Devolution has strengthened national unity by allowing nations to manage their own affairs. It provides a framework where Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland exercise certain autonomous powers, which can strengthen the Union by addressing local needs effectively. Question 84. How does the UK Parliament interact with the European Court of Human Rights? A. The UK Parliament is bound by the Court's decisions. B. The UK Parliament reviews and can veto decisions of the Court. C. The UK Parliament submits cases to the Court. D. There is no interaction as the UK is not subject to the Court. Answer: A. The UK Parliament is bound by the Court's decisions. While the UK maintains its sovereignty, it respects the rulings of the European Court of Human Rights as part of its commitment to uphold human rights standards. Question 85. What is the impact of social media on UK political engagement and policy making? A. It has isolated politicians from the electorate. B. It has decreased transparency in governance. C. It has significantly increased public engagement and influence on policy. D. Social media has no impact on politics. Answer: C. It has significantly increased public engagement and influence on policy. Social media has become a crucial platform for political discussion, enabling wider public engagement and impacting policy decisions by providing a direct channel for communication. Question 86. How does the UK address issues of gender equality in government and business? A. Gender quotas are strictly enforced in all sectors. B. The UK has no specific measures to promote gender equality. C. Through legislation and initiatives aimed at promoting diversity and equality. D. Gender equality is left to the discretion of individual businesses. Answer: C. Through legislation and initiatives aimed at promoting diversity and equality. The UK actively promotes gender equality through various laws and initiatives, such as requiring gender pay gap reporting and supporting women's advancement in the workplace. Question 87. Describe the evolution and role of the UK's Cabinet Office. A. It serves as the private office of the Prime Minister. B. It coordinates between different departments and supports the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. C. It has no significant role and serves only ceremonial functions. D. It is primarily involved in foreign affairs. Answer: B. It coordinates between different departments and supports the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. The Cabinet Office plays a central role in the effective functioning of government by ensuring coordination among various government departments and supporting the core executive functions. Question 88. What challenges does the UK face in integrating European Union laws into domestic legislation post-Brexit? A. There are no challenges as all EU laws were immediately nullified. B. Determining which EU laws to retain, modify or discard. C. The UK must adopt all EU laws without modification. D. EU laws are no longer applicable in any form. Answer. B. Determining which EU laws to retain, modify or discard. Post-Brexit, the UK faces the complex task of reviewing and deciding how to integrate existing EU laws into its domestic legal framework, deciding what to keep, amend or eliminate. Question 89. How does the UK ensure the judicial independence of its judges? A. Judges are appointed for life and are not subject to government review. B. Judges must follow directives from the Prime Minister. C. Judges are elected and campaign on political platforms. D. Judicial decisions must be approved by Parliament. Answer. A. Judges are appointed for life and are not subject to government review. This lifelong tenure helps protect judges from political pressures, ensuring they can make decisions based on law, not politics. Question 90. What role do pressure groups play in the UK political system? A. They have no influence on politics. B. They are illegal and not allowed to operate. C. They influence policy and public opinion through advocacy and lobbying. D. They fund political campaigns directly. Answer. C. They influence policy and public opinion through advocacy and lobbying. Pressure groups are an important part of the UK's political landscape, actively influencing policy decisions and public debates through various advocacy efforts. Question 91. How has the UK addressed issues of public trust in its political institutions? A. By reducing transparency. B. Through reforms aimed at increasing accountability and transparency. C. Public trust issues are not recognised or addressed. D. By limiting public access to information. Answer. B. Through reforms aimed at increasing accountability and transparency. The UK has implemented various measures, such as stricter rules on lobbying and expenses, to restore and enhance public trust in its political institutions. Question 92. What are the responsibilities of the UK's Secretary of State for International Trade? A. Manages domestic health policies. B. Oversees the nation's education system. C. Responsible for managing and promoting international trade and investment. D. Handles all military operations. Answer. C. Responsible for managing and promoting international trade and investment. The Secretary of State for International Trade plays a key role in shaping the UK's trade policy, negotiating trade agreements, and promoting British trade internationally. Question 93. Describe the UK's legislative measures to combat money laundering and financial crimes. A. The UK has no specific laws against money laundering. B. Measures include rigorous regulations and compliance checks by financial institutions. C. Only international transactions are monitored. D. Money laundering is not considered a crime. Answer. B. Measures include rigorous regulations and compliance checks by financial institutions. The UK has robust laws and regulations to prevent money laundering and financial crimes, involving strict compliance and reporting requirements for financial institutions. Question 94. What is the significance of the UK's Armed Forces Covenant? A. It mandates compulsory military service for all citizens. B. It is a pledge to treat those who serve or have served in the armed forces and their families with fairness and respect. C. It relates only to the deployment of nuclear weapons. D. It is an agreement to reduce the size of the military. Answer B. It is a pledge to treat those who serve or have served in the armed forces and their families with fairness and respect. The Armed Forces Covenant is a commitment by the nation ensuring that those who serve or have served and their families are treated fairly. Question 95. How does the UK's Electoral Commission ensure fair elections? A. By allowing candidates to spend unlimited funds. B. It has no role in managing elections. C. Through strict regulation of campaign finance and monitoring of electoral processes. D. By selecting candidates for each party. Answer C. Through strict regulation of campaign finance and monitoring of electoral processes. The Electoral Commission plays a crucial role in ensuring the integrity and fairness of elections in the UK, overseeing everything from the administration of elections to compliance with finance laws. Question 96. Describe the process and importance of the Queen's speech in the legislative cycle. A. It outlines the government's policies and proposed legislation for the new parliamentary session. B. It is a formality with no real significance. C. The Queen personally writes and proposes new laws. D. It concludes the legislative session. Answer A. It outlines the government's policies and proposed legislation for the new parliamentary session. The Queen's speech is an important event that marks the state opening of Parliament, setting the government's agenda for coming months. Question 97. What are the main components of the UK's strategy against organised crime? A. Ignoring organised crime to focus on petty crime. B. Relying solely on international cooperation. C. Comprehensive approach including prevention, intelligence, enforcement and rehabilitation. D. Decriminalising activities typically associated with organised crime. Answer C. Comprehensive approach including prevention, intelligence, enforcement and rehabilitation. The UK's strategy against organised crime involves multiple facets, aiming to disrupt criminal networks effectively through various means. Question 98. How has the concept of duty of care evolved in UK law? A. It has become less important in legal proceedings. B. It only applies to medical professionals. C. Expanded to include various professional and personal interactions to prevent harm. D. The concept has been eliminated from UK law. Answer C. Expanded to include various professional and personal interactions to prevent harm. Duty of care in UK law has evolved to encompass a broader range of scenarios, emphasising the responsibility to avoid acts or omissions that could foreseeably harm others. Question 99. What measures does the UK take to ensure compliance with international human rights laws? A. The UK does not participate in international human rights agreements. B. Compliance is monitored by the UN only, without UK involvement. C. Through adherence to treaties and active participation in international human rights organisations. D. Human rights are considered secondary to national security. Answer C. Through adherence to treaties and active participation in international human rights organisations. The UK ensures compliance with international human rights laws by ratifying and adhering to international treaties and engaging with global human rights bodies. Question 100. Describe the UK's approach to managing its ageing population and associated social services. A. ignoring the needs of the aging population. B. Comprehensive policies, including pension schemes, healthcare, and support for independent living. C. Mandatory retirement at the age of 50 to manage the aging population. D. Reducing social services for the elderly. Answer: B. Comprehensive policies, including pension schemes, healthcare, and support for independent living. The UK addresses the challenges of an aging population through various policies designed to provide financial security, access to healthcare, and support for elderly people to live independently.